So I recently found this article on Studio Ghibli in relation to The Boy and the Heron when it was released. But before I even talk about that, I think I know the reason about this article and why it's being published now. So when this movie was released in Japan in the summer of 2023, specifically on the 14th of July, it didn't have any trailer, any promotion. All it had was like a poster, a drawing of the heron, and nothing else really. That's all I left its audience with. Which in Japan it kind of makes sense to do because everyone in Japan pretty much knows Studio Ghibli at that point, and they already have a big reputation there. So it makes sense as to why they wouldn't do much promotion in terms of advertising the film. In terms of how they did it in America is obviously different. I mean, it's not really them promoting it; it's G Kids that did it. Um, but that's why I wanted to bring up this article because I think it's really important in terms of not just with the marketing with this film, but just with film marketing in general. So let's get into it. So basically, a big piece of this article describes how Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki advertised The Boy and the Heron, which was one of the most expensive Japanese films they've made in their archive. And with that much money going into it, you would think they would do so much to promote the film, but instead they decided to show as little as possible. At the head of the release, there were a few details about it. Changing the title within less than a year before it hit cinemas. There weren't any billboards or magazine covers or interviews with the director or cast. There wasn't even a trailer. All they had to go by was a title, a single image of a bird, and the fact that it was inspired by a book called How Do You Live, which was a Japanese novel. In an interview with NHK, which is a Japanese television station, Studio Ghibli producer Suzuki Toshio, which is this guy, basically, I'll show a picture right there, and now it's gone. He basically wanted to minimize as much publicity as possible, quoting, "I don't want people to watch the movie simply to confirm what they already know." And that actually stood out to me personally, that one quote alone, because it kind of resembles, I think, what most movie studios anywhere in the world should do. Like how they should advertise their films. Sometimes you may not have to do as much as you think. And Studio Ghibli has proven that you don't really have to. It's kind of like the same logic as if you were to watch a franchise movie. Like let's say for example Mission Impossible. There's been 7 Mission Impossible films or 6 or 7 previously to the recent film that came out. Do you think they really had to show that much advertising? I mean, I know the movie flopped, but do you think they really need to show that Tom Cruise was going to be in the movie, and that there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of explosions, and that there's a nuclear bomb they have to stop? Because you wouldn't have to know that because they've done it so many times. So why else would they even need to show it? Like, they don't even need to show that much. And Studio Ghibli knew this with their film, The Boy and the Heron, because they know their reputation in Japan is so high in the ranks that they don't need to advertise. They don't need to show any more than Studio Ghibli's making a new film. That's more than enough to get people excited in terms of what's going on in terms of that. So if they show as little as possible, it makes sense for them to be curious as to what might happen next. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's just read the rest of this article. So here in these next paragraphs, it talks about how Suzuki has an air of rebellion in terms of his lack of promotion for the film. Even go as far as to say the reason why he does this is to capture the feeling of going to see a movie as a child when you don't even know what the movie is about before you even buy the ticket. And he quotes this by saying, "A poster and a title, that's all we got when we were children. I enjoy trying to imagine what a movie was about and what I wanted to bring back that feeling." You know, when a Marvel film comes out or like it's about to be released, I've always wondered what that feeling would have been as well. Like if I see like a poster to Spider-Man, like the first Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like you know how awesome that would capture like a child's mind in terms of curiosity of what they can do with a Spider-Man movie. I mean, it's already been touched before, but to see it in a modern day with modern technology in terms of like what we do with CGI, you would think like there's a million possibilities they can go about it. Like they wouldn't even need a trailer to persuade anyone to watching the film. The fact that there's a Spider-Man movie is more than enough. And I think that's what Suzuki was trying to say here. It may sound like a small thing, but it means a lot when you really think about it. But let's move forward. The article kind of ends with praising Miyazaki, which he definitely deserves, but it kind of goes off topic in terms of like what the purpose of the article is. But what I take from this article is, like I said before, with all like the Marvel, like all the big franchises that have such a high level of popularity, and especially in America, that have to do such a heavy amount of advertising to promote their films. And I'm thinking, do we have to do any of this? I actually made a video based on movie marketing, or at least in touching on movie trailers and how bad they are nowadays, and how little effort that's put into them, or so much as putting too much advertising into their films when they don't need to do that much, especially when they keep repeating IPs that already existed from other platforms of entertainment, whether that's video games or novels or comic books. Even goes as far as to making live action remakes. Like, do we really need that much advertising? Like, the people are going to buy this shit anyway. So like, what's the point of over promoting it as what we're doing in America? It's like, we should obviously learn from this and just think, oh, hey, you could probably like show a little bit less, and we could not only save a lot of money, but we can also bring in more money from people just because of their own curiosity alone, because they're shown less of what they would imagine would happen. It really pisses me off, how people, especially in my country, haven't figured this out yet. It's just funny to me. That's the only reason I wanted to bring this up, because I just think it's important to bring up in terms of like movie marketing. Yeah, that's why I want to bring up this article. And if you want to read it for yourself, you can definitely do that. I'm only showing you a little bit here. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about in this video. So see you in the next one. Take care.